Hi, welcome to Venture Panel. My name is Chris Boone. I'm one of the pastors on staff, and I'm so excited to introduce to you today three of our board of directors. And I thought that it would be really cool during this time to get to know them. We get a sheet of paper that we get to see about their history and everything like that, and then we get to vote on them. But this is our chance to get to know them, hear kind of insides of what it's like to be on the board, and just get to know them. And so right now I'd like them to just introduce themselves, talk about their family, their job, how long they've been coming to the church. And as always, I want to do ladies first. So Laura, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Chris. And thank you very much for having me on the panel today. I'm really excited to be here. So as Chris said, I'm Laura Greenewalt, and I am married to my best friend, Ken. We have 3 sons and a daughter-in-law. Ryan is our oldest, and his wife, Allison. They live in Texas, and Ryan is a pastor at the church that we attended when we lived in Texas. And Austin, our middle son, lives in Los Angeles, and he's currently pursuing a career in acting. And our youngest, which many of you guys know, Brandon, just graduated high school, and he will be joining the internship program in the fall, which we're really excited about. And I work at Microsoft in business development for the past 4 years, and we've been attending Venture Church for the past 3 years.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being a part of the panel.
Sure.
Next, I'm going to go to Jim, who was my groomsman. And so, Jim, introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Jim Arment, and I have been going to Canyon Creek. Let's see, I started Venture Church. It was Canyon Creek when I started. I started going when I was about 19 years old, and so that was, I guess, 15 years ago. I met Boone, but I also met my wife, Jen, and so we have been there. Honestly, Venture Church has been part of our lives, part of our family, and we love to serve wherever we're needed. We've served in kids ministry. I've been a part of the worship ministry most of that time, and now for the last 2 years or so, I've had the opportunity to serve on the board of directors, and it's been a blast. I've been working with and getting to meet with some incredible people, and it's been an exciting time at our church as we've grown, gone into a new building, and have been just kind of spearheading the situation around us with trying to be a light to our community and to love on the people that are part of our church and that our church reaches out to.
Awesome. And you have 2 awesome kids, right?
Yes. My son, Jabin, is just wrapped up 2nd grade, and my daughter, Naya, just wrapped up kindergarten, and they are spending as much time this summer in the water as possible. We have a little pop-up pool in the back that they'll swim for hours in, and they're visiting my parents right now who live on a river to get some more time in the water.
Nice. I'm sending my kids over there to that river.
Come on over.
And then last but definitely not least, probably one of my oldest friends in the world, and he's also my kid's godparent, Chris. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm probably not your oldest friend, but maybe we've had a long relationship.
Yeah,
and I don't know if you guys can see this on the video, but I just realized I'm logged into Zoom under my daughter's account, so apparently I'm Kinsey today. So I'm actually Chris Parker. I've, like Boone said, I've actually known Boone for almost 20 years now, but been part of Canyon Creek since day one. Me and my wife were actually dating at the time for the first service. So we've been married 15 years this last April. And then what I do is I'm a regional service manager for a company that works with high-end and complicated wheelchairs, making sure that those are operating and functioning on a daily basis. Then other than that, this is who I am.
Yeah.
Did I miss anything, Chris?
No.
My daughter's name on my screen kind of confused me there for a second, but I'm actually Chris Parker. My daughter is Kinsey. She's 7, so I don't want to leave her out of this. She has aspirations. It just depends on the day. Right now, we're submitting our application for different types of homeschooling and what school is going to actually be open next year. So we're in the same boat, and that's why we're logged into her Zoom account today. So
yeah. Awesome. Cool. Well, like I said, I wanted them to get to know you on a deeper level. And one of the ways is for you to share your testimony. Now, just something brief, but just how you came to know God, what that has done in your life. And so I wanted it to be brief, but I wanted them to hear your heart behind it. And I think that will let them go, oh man, like we have quality people, and we have quality people serving on our board. I wish we could have had all of them on, but you guys are the busiest people on the planet, and trying to get you guys all together. We're doing this on everyone's lunch break right now. So thank you again. But Laura, if you could just share with us for a brief second about your testimony.
Sure, love to. Yeah, I would say I probably had a more radical conversion. Growing up, we went to church occasionally, but I would say that God and our faith wasn't the focus in our family. And so as an adult, I found myself living my life for me. I was very selfish. There were things I did that hurt other people through my own actions. And there came a point in my life where I was in a very dark place spiritually. And at that point in time, Jesus shows up. And when I mean he shows up, he spoke to me like we are speaking here. It was very clear. I knew exactly who it was. And he said four words that changed my life forever. He said, I still love you. After all I had done and all I had been through, to know that type of love, I just had to know more of who this Jesus was. And I surrendered my life to him that day. And it has been, it's just been transformed my life significantly. And I've been chasing after him ever since. And it's been such an amazing journey.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Laura.
Sure.
Chris.
For me, I really actually grew up in the church. So like faith wasn't anything like I didn't know not having God in my life as far as was displayed by either my parents and really my grandparents. So, but I would say like the moment that really sticks out to me is our family moved quite a bit when I was younger. So really they were in search of a church. So I don't know if maybe some people can remember these, but a lot of churches would do these Heavens and Gates, Hell's Flames. And we found ourselves at BCA in North Everett. And I believe I was in junior high. And really just as a family, recommitted our lives to Christ. And that's actually where I met Pastor Brandon in junior high. That was probably only a couple years ago, but anyway, that's that's when the whole I believed in God like my whole life, and kind of had that, and really had a good display from grandparents and parents, but really that I can personally remember going into junior high. That's when I really committed my life, and then really started me on the journey, and been faithful, and really met my wife through all these things, and found myself at Canyon Creek and now Venture. So.
That's awesome.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Chris. Jim?
Yeah. I grew up in church also. My dad was a pastor, and I grew up in the same church for the first 18 years of my life. Worship ministry was where I served. And ultimately, if I showed up on Sunday and I smiled and played my guitar and sang, like everyone thought my life was great, and I kind of put on this facade of like I was good. And it wasn't until like I left that church and started attending Canyon Creek at the time that like the worship ministry, I got involved in the worship ministry right away, and there's just a level of accountability and relationships that I built with the people I was serving with. And that's kind of where Chris Boone and I kind of started building relationships and friendship there, and other people at the church the same way. And it was at that point that I kind of realized the double life I was living, and the need to decide if I was going to live my life for Jesus, and if those dreams that I had when I was younger, if I really wanted my life to look that way or not. And I'm so glad that I did, and so glad that I got connected to people that were able to walk with me through that. And at the same time, like I've now grown so much from those relationships, and worship ministry has always been where I really feel called to just help people connect to Jesus. And sometimes I get to do that more often than not. But as long as I'm doing that at home with my family, I feel like I am kind of doing what God has called me to do.
Yeah. If you get a chance to ever be part of one of our One Voices, and Jim is, God has just given him this anointing when he leads worship that is just incredible. And so, Anyway, we're going to switch a little bit. That this last year has been the craziest in the time of Venture Church, because we went from tearing down this rickety old building to building up a new building, to going from Canyon Creek Church to changing our name to Venture Church. We get into this new building. We see growth like never before in the life of our church. Every ministry is just on fire, right? And then COVID hits. Everything with COVID. What I want to know, because I can tell you from a staff point of view, what was it like being on the board over these? And I know Jim's been on the board for like 2 years. Chris has been a little bit over a year and a couple months. And then Laura is brand new the last 8 months. What has it been like? So I want to go to Jim, and since you've been on it the longest, what has it been like serving on the board?
It's been fun. It's been, so I've been a part of the church for so long, and we're fortunate enough to have a relationship with Pastors Brandon and I, that we know about different things going on in the church, but to actually like be a part of these board meetings and these major decisions that we're making was surprising. I felt like am I really, is it okay that I'm helping make these decisions? But really kind of seeing the expertise of the different people around. We've had just some incredible other board members that have I've learned so much from, and to be able to glean from them has been crazy because of the magnitude of the decisions we're making. And like all along, we get to hear what Pastor Brandon's vision is, and like to see what the dome was. To see the different builders coming in and to tear down that dome was it's cool to be a small part of something so big, and to know that we're just beginning to make our impact now. Is, I don't know, the best days are still ahead of us. And so I think the first board meeting we were voting on whether to approve the construction loan, and so it's one of the biggest loans that we had to take. We were part of making that decision. And so since then, there haven't really been any low points, because we kind of follow up one thing with another, and we get into the building and we think we're good. And then the coronavirus stuff hits, and there's always something going on. But we've kind of held fast to, what is our vision for our church, for our community? What's the vision of our lead pastors, and how can we as a board team with the staff, team with the church, team with the volunteers to really, just share Jesus' love with those around us.
Chris, so it's been a year and some change. So what has that been like for you serving?
So I'm gonna sum it up in maybe a sentence of, hey guys, this is just going to be a quick meeting, and we're going to be here for about 3 or 4 hours. It's going to be as awkward as you can make it. It's going to be everything above. And that's my quick response of what I initially thought. But if you break it down besides that and look at everything that we've overcome and look at everything that we're currently going through, I don't even know if you could keep a tally of how many miracles and what needed to happen for something else to happen, for this to happen. And then you hit this crisis where you're having these meetings where you're trying to make the best decision possible. And we have a room full of people that are experts. Like Jim said, you're sitting in this room, and sometimes it can be awkward. Sometimes it can be tough, but it challenges us to be better. And we're praying through this the whole time, just like the rest of the church. And I can't count how many miracles that we've seen throughout this process, and that we're continuing to see, and it's not done. And I think that that's really the exciting part about it. But like I said, in a nutshell, for the last year, jumping into this and like, hey, we have every meeting, it's once a month, it's going to be this, it's really steady. We've never diverted from this to, hey, here's just a quick meeting, turns into 3 hours, it turns into this. But these are important things that need to happen.
Yeah.
And it's been an amazing experience through the whole process. But again, I go back to miracle after miracle after miracle, and just thanking God for his grace.
Yeah. And Laura?
Sure. So I think I get the benefit being one of the newest board members that I don't know what the normal was, because this kind of is the new norm, right? And what I would say, I too am in awe of the way that God has brought all of us from different backgrounds and different expertise together to, to be a strong leadership, to help, advance the vision and the God's kingdom in this community of believers. And what I found is that, I'm leaning in and I'm relying more on God and waiting for his wisdom and waiting for his direction and making sure that there's unity with the board. And then I think an important part that I'm learning is not only do we need to seek his wisdom, but we also need to wait patiently for him to provide that wisdom, right? Rather than trying to make a quick decision. And so that's been challenging for me because, I want to make a quick decision and go into implementation. And I just feel like God's like, okay, wait, we need to think through this, right? And so that I would say has been some of the experience I've had.
Yeah. One of the cool things as I look at all the people on the board is many of you guys could be pastors yourselves. And yet God has gifted you uniquely to be in the business world and pastoring there. And now you sit on our board. So we have like a board of people who could be pastors, but they have such influence in their business world. And now those are the people praying and helping us make better decisions, but also seeing, we have such a talented pastor that God has uniquely anointed, and that when he casts vision, everyone jumps on board, and it's just crazy to see it all come into play. Right? And I remember being there when Brandon preached the first message in this building when it was still just brick, right? Like it was brick, it was dusty, gross. I'm sitting on the floor, my clothes are just dirty, and just knowing that was a dream that God had given him back in the day. And I asked him, I was like, hey, if you had to do it all over again, knowing what you know now, would you? And he didn't even hesitate. He's like, absolutely not. I would have taken another church. I would not have, because he's like, all the headache and the troubles and everything else. But I had to learn to rely on God. And yes. It was going to be in his timing because, he had that vision 16, 17 years ago, and then seeing it come into play, that's a long time to wait for a lot of us. And it's been really cool to see the people that we have on our board to get to help out Pastor Brandon. And so that leads into my next question, which is, what can we do as a congregation to help out the church? What is stuff that we can do to help out? This has been a really trying year for a church. I know the last couple months have been hard for Pastor Brandon and I. So what can we do as a congregation? And so I'll start with you, Laura.
Sure. I would like to ask for two things from the congregation. One is to pray for us, pray for our staff, pray for the board of directors, pray for the trustees, for unity and for wisdom. I think those are the things that we have, and we just need to continue to strengthen the unity and just continue to seek God's wisdom. And the second thing is to continue to invite your friends, invite your families to attend the online service or to come to one of the campuses if they feel comfortable. God is doing amazing things, and we are truly a beacon of hope. And the more people that can experience Jesus, would be amazing.
Yeah, the thing that we've noticed is the more people that share our services online, the more people are going to, because people are going to watch that I can't that I'm not friends with online that they're going to be able to see. And so we've seen it's like my game show that I do on Monday nights. Like I always say, share, share, share. And when it gets 4 shares, it gets like almost 1,000 hits. When it gets 2 shares, it only gets like 500. So it's all about how many people, and it's like a new way to invite people to church of like, this, I want you to see this. I want you to be a part of this community. And what we're finding out is new people are coming every single Sunday and they're like, yeah, I started watching you online. And so I wanted to check it out in person. And so, yeah, great. Jim?
Yeah, those are great things you could do. Something I guess I would add would be, like, we rely on our staff, the pastors of our church, to do a lot for us. And they, on top of praying for them and praying for their families, praying blessing over them, like finding opportunities to volunteer and serve alongside them. And I know that in the current climate of things, certain people, there's not always the opportunities to do that in person, but as church returns to normal and as opportunities come up that you are comfortable with, and like getting connected and volunteering was what really got me to start building relationships with people, which changed my life, which allowed me to change lives of other people, or be used by God to change lives, that is.
That's good.
So finding ways to get involved, to be on mission, even if it's something small, like it makes a difference, because if we all come together, that's how our church has been formed. It's not been 1 or 2 people carrying the load. It's been everyone coming together to support our pastors and support our vision to really move things forward.
Yeah, one of the backbone of our church is our community groups. And I feel like that with COVID, the enemy has kind of lied to us and said, oh, well, we can't have community anymore. But we've been able to work around that through like Zoom meetings and stuff like that. And I know that we get tired of Zoom, but at least we're able to still build that community. And I know that us as a staff is always like, how do we get more community groups now more than ever? Because we need community more than ever. A part of that and not completely taking yourself out of it. And if you feel comfortable, you can meet in person or and stay to that, but still keep community and be a part and be involved. So that's great. Chris, I know some good ones have been taken. I don't know if you're going to say ditto or what, but. Yeah.
No, you know what? I'm going to say what's on my heart, and even like stuff that I wrestle with, but things that can really help is just trust. Like there are so many things. I mean, the board sees everything from every message that's sent on Facebook, or there's a lot of decisions that are going into this, and we understand that not everyone's going to be happy about it, but trust that God is in control. And I mean, the prayer, the surrender of that, and then our staff, we need to protect them through prayer, but also we need to let them know that they're doing an amazing job through all of this. And we need to get out the idea that church has always been the same and it has to look a particular way. God can use what we're doing right now to change lives. And even to share examples of, I know that my wife shares this service every single week, and we see almost every single week someone new that we would never even think that would even click on the service to listen to, because they're looking for hope. So it opens up doors, and I think that if we can get it behind us of what we think church should look like and let God take control of it, and then trust the board, trust the pastors, trust Pastor Brandon, and give some grace in that area, I think that, I mean, we're on the brink of seeing like a real revival in this area, regardless of if we're in a building or not. God can still move, and I think trusting that God can do that. I mean, that's the biggest thing that I think that would help the board, that would help the pastor staff and the church in general, is that.
Yeah. Awesome. So good. What is your favorite part about serving on the board? I would, there are some meetings that I know that are about to take place, like in the past year and a half that I've been on staff, that I'm like, I wish I could be a part of the board, just a fly on the wall. I don't even want to make a decision. I don't want to say anything. I just want to see how they navigate this. And then, we hear about how, the answer, and we're like, wow, that's better than I would ever came up with. Like, I mean, and so, but I would have loved to have been in some of those 3-hour meetings, not all of them, just some of them. But what has been your favorite part? And let's go, Jim.
Yeah, I touched on it a little bit. but I sit in the room with all the board members, Laura and Chris included, and I just think am I supposed to be here? Uh, across the whole table, or now we have 5 or 6 tables, and we're all sitting really far apart. I just see who I'm working with, and it's very humbling, and I've learned so much from them, and just getting to even the minutes before a meeting starts and the minutes after a meeting ends, hearing what's going on in their business or what's going on with their family, and getting a glimpse into these people who they're not just board members, but they're a mother or a father or a spouse, or all these different kind of things, and seeing a glimpse of how they live their lives. And it challenges me to want to live my life better, to live my life fuller, to make an impact, because you see what they're doing, and it's impressive, and it's something I want to emulate myself.
Yeah, iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
Laura?
Sure. I would say a couple of things. Getting to know Pastor Brandon better, his vision and his heart for our church. Since we're newer to the congregation, we haven't been there 15 years like most of you guys. So, just hearing more deeper what, his true heart is for the church, and what God wants to do through this community of believers, sets me on fire and makes me just want to get motivated and to just continue to do more than what we've been doing. So that's the one thing. And then the other thing, just kind of to echo what Jim has said, I'm in awe too. I get to be a part of what God is doing with all of these other great people who are very successful and very accomplished in their lives, and to be able to, leverage and learn from that. And then to also add, our own skills, our own expertise that we bring to the table to advance God's kingdom, right? I mean, that's what is so cool, is that God is using my skills and my experience to help advance his kingdom for his glory. And that just excites me beyond.
That's great. And Chris?
Ditto. I don't know what else I can add to that, except for, I myself, I'm in awe, hanging out with all these people and having these conversations, and the amount of things that I learned throughout this process, how I can look at things differently. But at the end of the day, I think I'm in awe of the amount of the amount or how much everyone cares about this church and the individuals and what they really fight for. And so we're taking the logic and the business acumen of everybody and what they have in their background, but then we also have the faith element that goes with it, and then we're putting it together. And I'm in awe of that. I always want to be around people that are going to force me to be better, and this is a group of people that forces you to be better. They ask questions, and like I said, the reason why they're long meetings is because they're important. Sometimes they need to happen, but it's because we're challenging each other so that we're making the best decision. And that's one of the most exciting things about it.
Yeah. And likewise, the board challenges the staff to be better as well. They don't let us settle. And so definitely appreciative about that. Last, ever since I started doing the venture panels and people of venture and stuff like that, I always wanted to leave with a time of hope. Every time that I seem to scroll through, it seems like everyone's spewing out messages of hopelessness. And I always wanted to leave a time of hope, something that would be encouraging. And so what would you say to encourage our people during this time? So Laura?
Sure. I would say, well, first, I feel blessed and I'm very excited to be a part of Venture Church in this season. I believe that we are on the cusp of an exponential growth in people coming to know Jesus. And we get to be a part of that. We get to bring that hope and that beacon of light, Jesus, everywhere we go within our community. And so that's what excites me about being a part of this community, is that we do truly get to make a difference, and partner with God to do that.
Chris?
I mean, not to simplify it, but I mean, when I hear a question like that, I just think that the biggest hope that we have is we have the same goal, and with the thing that we have in common is Jesus. And as we're going through all these, trying to figure out what's going on, whether it's with this COVID or whether it's going with society and all these things that we've had discussions about, whether it's on Facebook or with friends, and all these are challenging. But I think to come back to Jesus and have that be your real center in all of this, I think that changes your perspective in how you can do a better job of listening to others, how you can do a better job of supporting your church. But I mean, the real exciting thing to me is I don't want to go back and repeat myself, but when you see people, whether it's in your family or whether it's a friend that you think that would have nothing to do with God, and they're clicking to see the service, and then they start engaging in that, something is happening, and that's exciting. And going back to the fact that church, because it doesn't look the same, doesn't mean that God's not moving. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's what we really got to be excited about, that over all these things that we want to put in obstacles and we want to say, God, like, this is a mountain that we can't overcome, God is still moving and lives are still changing. And yes, it's a trying time for a lot of people. And I get that. But at the same time, going back to Jesus and really looking at the positive, it may sound simple, but it can really change your perspective. And I think that that's one of the most positive things we can look at right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
Jim?
Yeah. Well, I think that, with how much everyone's at home right now, that's such a contrast to how things were before, where you're interacting with so many people face to face, that now's such a great time to look at those people who you are spending time with, and make sure that they know that you love them, that God loves them, that there's security, whether it's your children, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your close friends. The whole interesting dynamic of the isolation from everything else is that you're very close to the people that are, who you live with. And so I guess my hope, my word of encouragement would be love on those people. And if you need some love, like our church is here for you. Even Boone's done such a great job with all sorts of different content to bring hope to you. Our pastors bring words of hope on a regular basis on our Sunday messages. There's just all sorts of ways to get hope in your home, around the people that you love and you care about. And let's not let this be a season where we just survive or we just make it through, but let's be a season where we're able to invest in those people that we are close to right now and that we are isolated with and we're living our life with. And really, how do we make those the strongest parts of our life? Because those will give us security in all the other areas that we walk in our life.
Good.
So good. Thank you again for doing this. And Venture, hopefully you got to hear their hearts. You get to know them a little bit better. When you see them on a Sunday or at an event or whatever, you go up, you say hi to them. And that was my heart behind it, is that you get to know them, but also that you leave this feeling encouraged, feeling this inspired, and more than anything, that it points you back to God. And so thank you for taking time out of your day for doing this. And that's all we got. So have a good day.
You too.